Hey, so this is our first ever episode of KrassenCast Dismantling Division. This is a show we're going to be running over the course of the next several months. We're going to hope to have guests from both the right and the left, and just try and find common ground on things within politics, outside of politics. Just talk, have fun, get to know each other. I think the point of the show is going to be to show the world, show our viewers that we all have much more in common than we think we do. And despite people hiding behind their keyboards, attacking each other on Twitter, I think we some of us might actually be friends in real life despite the political differences. Uh, and I couldn't think of a more perfect guest than meme lord Carpe Donktum, also known in the real world as Logan Cook. Uh, he's had memes retweeted by President Trump, Sean Hannity on Fox News, and dozens of other celebrities and personalities on social media. So what's your favorite meme that you've ever created, Carpe?
Um, I think it might actually be the first one I ever did, which was the classic Bugs Bunny cartoon where you've got the maestro and he's conducting the opera singer, and so I put Trump's head on the conductor, obviously, and then he's conducting CNN, and CNN is just going, he's following his hand up and down on the register, and he ends up at the end, he's just holding this note forever, and CNN's turning different colors and all that kind of stuff, and falls down, and then the whole place collapses on it. So that, I think that was my favorite. It was just fun.
You know, I can't say I approve, but it is pretty funny. So I'm Ed Krassenstein. I'm obviously the co-host here with Brian, and it's a pleasure to have you on our show, Logan. I know we go way back, and much
do.
of that way back this isn't very positive. But what Brian said is really true. Like, most people don't realize Brian and I live in Fort Myers, Florida, which is a super red area, super red city. I think it's like 70% Republican when it comes to voting. Uh, Most of our friends down here are actually Republicans, and many are obviously Trump supporters. So,
Yeah.
I think it's nice to have just a conversation with somebody you disagree with politically, because most of the time you have a lot more in common than you think.
Yeah, like on Twitter, I think Twitter and social media in general gives you the impression that nobody can ever get along. But in the real world, uh, people have just normal conversations. Not everything is always politics. Now, politics does come up quite often, but even in those cases, it's very rare for you to run into somebody that you can't find any common ground with.
Exactly.
There's something, and it's just getting to that little bit that you do agree on is sort of what makes life worth living, I guess.
Yeah, and for your information, I'm the twin who didn't report you to Twitter and asked my followers to do so.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for that. That was I appreciate that you're the better half of the
don't
ambiguously
don't
gay
don't speak
duo,
too
right?
quick. The show's not over with yet, Carpe, right?
Now, I did want to say that I thought that your first tweet back was really funny when you did the ambiguously gay duo, and just embrace that. I thought that was great. So props to you for self deprecation. Is
Self-deprecation, yeah.
Yeah,
I,
it's a very important thing, I think.
I think it's good to be able to poke fun at yourself so that then other kind of takes the air out of others' attacks on you. So
Right.
I love deprecating humor, I guess you could call it. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I
I
I
think
think
we
that
need
there's
an
a
up.
lot of people. Sorry, I
I
think
think
there's
we
a
need
lot
an
of people
updated
that take
version, an
themselves
updated
too.
version of that meme. Like, it's
Oh,
kind of
you want
outdated.
me
So
to do
there
a
you go.
better one for you?
Yes, I think so. Go ahead,
I
finish what you're saying.
I was just gonna say that I think that a lot of what people dislike about politics is that there is no self-reflection in a lot of people. It's just it's all, I think this or I think that, and um if you make fun of me, I can't take it because I'm so fragile inside that I just fall apart. And so I think it's very appreciated throughout politics when people are able to poke some fun at themselves and realize that, you know, we've all got flaws, and we're all people that are just, you know, bumbling around the world trying to figure things out.
Yeah, like I feel like to be in politics in any respect, whether you're a politician or a commentator or whatever, I think you need to be able to realize that, because it does get
Yeah,
heated, and I think that's definitely a trait that helps.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
before we get into the nitty-gritty of things, I do
Mhm.
want to congratulate you because your Kansas City Chiefs, I learned you're a Chiefs fan, are
Yeah.
in the playoffs and they're the number one seed. Brian
Yes.
and I are football fans as well. We like the Philadelphia Eagles, and they're the number one seed in the NFC. So maybe they'll meet in the Super Bowl. And when they
We'll
do,
see.
I'm
Well,
sure
we'll
the
see.
Eagles are going to win.
Well, yeah, you can be sure about that. That's fine.
You
It's
also
it's
like the
okay.
Royals
It's
too.
okay to be wrong. It's fine.
You
It's
also like
hard
the
to be wrong.
Royals too, right? And I know my son's
Yeah.
obsessed with baseball. We're Phillies fans though. I think the Phillies actually beat the Royals in like the 1980 World Series before I was born, so I wasn't around. But
Yeah,
do
that might
your
be right.
kids play baseball?
One of my sons does. The younger son is too little. But you know, he's plays t-ball. You know what he does, I wouldn't call playing baseball quite yet because he's only 7.
Yeah.
But he does go onto a baseball field
My
and
my
have
son's
a
6
glove.
and he starts baseball this coming week, I think.
Oh, really?
T-ball.
That early?
And it's like it's just so fun to just like teach him the skills, because I was a huge baseball fan when I was younger. But yeah, I
Yeah.
know what you mean. It's like he knows how to hit the ball, and other than that, it's like just like, where do I
He's
run
getting
next?
better. Like he gets better. Just pick it up pretty quickly. And you know, I spent, you know, a good 3 or 4 hours going over like just watching a baseball game and then like quizzing them on like how many balls and strikes are there, because like I don't think they pick that up as well. Like they don't pick up
Yeah.
all the rules right away. They're just like, did he hit a home run? Well, no, he's on first base, so he couldn't have hit a home run. But you know, working all that stuff out. But it didn't take him very long, and then he's like, "Yeah, there's a force on second base because there's a guy on first base." And you're like, well,
That's
"That's
pretty
great."
intuitive. I remember my son playing, I think he started around 5 and he loved hitting, but everything else he just hated it. When he was
Right.
a fielder, he just stand there and like play with the dirt and roll around on the ground. And we're like, okay, maybe baseball is just not the sport for you.
I think that's most of the team when they're in the field is picking grass and throwing it in the air and sitting down in the dirt or whatever. But they learn eventually.
Give it a few
Exactly.
more years, right?
Yes. So you, like us, were banned from Twitter for probably, we were a little over 2 years. I think you were probably even a little longer than us, because I remember you got banned
Yeah.
when we were still on Twitter. So how did you survive not being on Twitter? Did you wake up every morning crying like we did?
So no, not really. Like you know, I'm not gonna pretend like it wasn't it didn't have an effect, because it did, because it was a lot of my life was, you know, spent on Twitter and doing things on Twitter. And actually I would say a lot of the ideas that I got were just from, you know, watching the feed, not taking directly from people, but seeing something that
Yeah.
somebody posted, which then made me think of something else, which then made me think of something to do. And also just being like on the cutting edge of whatever's happening right now everywhere all the time. So it did have an effect, but um yeah, I don't know that it was a great thing that I got banned from Twitter, but like I think being out of there and getting the perspective of uh that you're not as great as you think you are, because like, you know, you're gone for a week, people are still mentioning you. You're gone for a month, people are still mentioning you, but less. You're gone for 3 months, and it's like people mention you twice a week, you know, that kind of thing. And so just realizing that life moves on without you. And it's not that I don't have friends that didn't stay in contact, but just that the constant contact went away. And I think learning that you're not the most important person in the world all the time is a good lesson to learn. And I wish it didn't take 2 years to learn that, but it is sort of what it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard in that you build up a following. You know, you build up all that following, you have all your posts on your timeline, and then it's just all gone, and you feel like
Right.
you've really wasted so much of your time building something up that is now gone. So I think that's what hit me the most. Being off Twitter was kind of a relief to me in a way, though, in
Yeah,
that I
same.
didn't feel the pressure that needing to keep up. And I don't know if that's
Right.
just, I'm sure it's just me putting that pressure on myself, but at the
Yeah,
same
for
time,
sure.
it was still there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
the pressure is like you put the pressure on yourself that like if I don't tweet 10 times a day, I'll lose a
yeah,
follower or something. And like I didn't ever really put so much stock into how many followers I had, but it is there. Like it's in the back of your mind. You're like, people are gonna start unfollowing and they're gonna go find somebody else, you know, if I don't keep pushing out whatever.
Here's a question. So, like, obviously, you tweet more right-leaning memes. Have you ever
Yeah.
been like, oh man, that would be a perfect meme, but if I post this, my Twitter followers are gonna hate me and I'm gonna lose followers.
No, I don't really censor myself that way, but I do think of things that like I think of situations and I say this would be a really great meme for somebody on the left to make. Now, I'm not going to make it because it's not my wheelhouse,
Right.
but I do think of things and I'm like, oh, you know, this situation's really funny and it would work really well in here. And there are some left leaning people or left wing people that make some decent memes every once in a while, and they're, you know, I try to point that out. Like if somebody makes something that's truly funny, then, you know, right or left, I still think it's funny. I remember there was one with Trump, and he was meeting with the Pope, and somebody did something with his hands, like they zoomed in on his hands and then made him like start to like tickle the
I think
Pope's
I
hands,
remember
and the
that
Pope
one.
slapped. Yeah, like that was funny. Like it's just let funny things be funny.
Yeah, like the reason we created the show was because like I feel that these people get caught in these echo chambers. Like if we tweet
Yeah,
anything that's more pro to the right, people are going to get pissed off at us, our followers. If
right.
you tweet something more to the left, probably the same thing's going to happen. So why not kind of create this in between where we're talking to people all on both sides and
Right.
can kind of, if our followers get pissed off because we're talking to them, then tough. We don't want you as somebody following us, right? Like we're having a friendly
Right.
conversation. But like that is something that concerns me with social media. And I hope that maybe as we move forward and Elon Musk kind of changes things up, maybe there can be ways that he can kind of create kind of get us out of that echo chamber.
I hope so. I'm not certain that it's something that any one person can do, just because even inside of the echo chamber, I would say that, you know, you have the echo chamber of the left and you have the echo chamber of the right. But within those echo chambers, there's more echo chambers,
Yeah.
because, you know, right now they have is it going to be Trump or is it going to be DeSantis? And so then if you say the wrong thing, then you piss off this whole section inside of the section you're already in. And there's infighting on the left on that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, just
I
like
think
Bernie
it crosses.
Sanders, when Bernie Sanders and
Right.
Biden, we had the same thing.
Right. Like the Bernie Sanders Biden thing, and you know, all of those people were just at each other's throats about, no, we want Bernie, no, we want, you know, I don't know that one person is going to take that tribalistic nature out of people, because I think it is sort of it's a base thing that's, we all like our tribes, and I don't know what it's going to take to get that out of us, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see
Yeah,
what he
I
does.
think it's just human nature, you know. I think it's just
Yeah.
how we are as humans. But I do have a question. Why didn't, when you were banned, why didn't you just create a Mrs. Carpe DM account and use that?
Well, it was a couple reasons. I think the biggest reason is that I just always said that if I got banned, I got banned. And I think it goes back to something you said earlier about, you build up this following, you spend time working at this, and when you're banned, it all goes away. And to me, the idea of building all that back up again just to have it then taken away again, just wasn't something that interested me. So, I can, well, because you were banned as well, but when you're on the app and you're banned, you can still search, you can still do stuff like that. You can't tweet anything, and none of your you can't see any of the people you follow. But that was enough for me just to stay on Twitter like that. In the meantime, while I wasn't able to do anything else. So
Yeah, and for the record, we weren't Mrs. Krassenstein. Her
okay,
account, Heidi, was actually on
okay,
Twitter before we got banned. But I'm not going to say we didn't influence some of her
right,
tweets.
Yeah, so talk about influence. You were actually invited to the White House because
yeah.
Trump apparently likes your memes so much. And I never envisioned Trump to be a meme person until he became president. But did you get to actually meet Donald? And if yes, how big were his hands?
um, yes, I went to the White House. I was in the Oval Office. There's pictures from that. Me and my family, and I brought along a friend as well. And his hands are proportionate to the rest of his body. I'll just
Bigger
say
than
that.
mine or smaller than mine?
I'm not sure. Like
Okay.
there's no scale there. So
That's a
um
letdown. That's really a letdown. I
I
always envisioned him having small hands. That was kind of like an upper
well
hand.
the tiny hands thing was kind of funny, and I think it got under his skin a little bit, which I also thought was a little bit funny. But it seemed normal size to me. So I don't know. I'm not a hand expert, but they seem proportionate.
I trust you. I trust your judgment.
Did he tell you? Did he say I love your memes? Like, did you have a
You know
conversation with
what's
him?
weird is that, so I think we were in there for about 20 to 30 minutes in the Oval Office, and I have a hard time remembering anything that happened in there, just because it was all, you're taking everything all in all at once, and it's not just Trump being there. It's, you're in the Oval Office, you're where JFK was, you're where like 100 president, well, not 100 presidents, because there haven't been that many, but where all of the presidents have been before. And just being in, I think Scott Adams said it very well, when he said that you see the room, the Oval Office, in photos, and you see them all the time, but when you're actually in the room, it's the gravity of being in that room is a lot. And so I remember little bits and pieces of the conversation. I think my friend remembers it better, because he's usually one that's quoted saying, he walked in and said, "Where's my genius?" I don't remember that at all, but I'm sure it probably did happen. But it was a lot to take in all at once.
It was a good idea to bring a friend in who could probably kind of remember a little bit more. But I think I can go back to when I was like 5 and I went to Disneyland and I
Yeah,
met Goofy and the same thing happened. I was like, I forget everything else, but
right.
not comparing the situation at all. But I think that's what happens when,
That was a very subtle comparing Trump to Goofy. Thank you for that.
No, it wasn't anything.
So I imagine you've seen Trump's recent NFT collection, and the artwork just wasn't very good. Like, why didn't he
I
hire
looked
you to
at it.
create
Yeah.
NFTs for him?
I I don't know. Like
I mean, they
that.
were successful. He sold out, and the secondary market's on fire, but they could have
Right.
been better.
Yeah, I don't know. The NFT market is sort of a weird thing for me, and people have like approached me and said, you should do NFTs and things like that. And maybe someday in the future I will, but that market is just weird in general. So the fact that the stuff that he did was they were sort of like baseball cards, right? Like
Yeah.
I briefly looked over them. Um I don't think it really surprises me, because I'm guessing this is how it went. Somebody was like, "Hey, you should get into NFTs. And he's like, okay, why don't you go do that? And
But
then
it's
somebody
funny
did it.
because when I look at NFTs, I see it's something that conservatives aren't really that into. I see NFTs as something liberals are more into. Do you agree with me on that?
I don't know. I don't know the politics of the NFT. I think more than likely the NFT people are sort of just not even political at all.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like I would say that the most of the NFT consumers are just people. They're just internet people.
Yeah.
Or celebrities who want to get some sort of cred from getting an NFT, like the ape things. I think they've sold
Bored
some of
apes.
those for, yeah, like huge dollar values on some of those. So yeah, I don't know. I think that there are a lot of people on the left who are in the tech space, and I think that's the number one bar for the NFT market, is that you sort of have to be in the tech space. You can't just be,
Yeah.
some person that doesn't know how to use the internet buying NFTs. I mean, I guess you could, but I think it would be a very big stretch for that to be the person.
Exactly. So moving on to some more serious conversation. How did you go about getting your Twitter account back?
I just filed the thing and just waited. Like I think I filed several. I started doing sort of joke ones, where I would file, and there was one where I did like the Lord's Prayer, but it was to Elon Musk, and like just stuff like that. The sort of just occupied my time, and like something I would imagine that somebody reading the the appeal would be like, this is just ridiculous. This is,
I got to go
who
show
is this
Elon
person?
this. He'll
Yeah.
enjoy this one.
So I did a few of those, but like really it was just, I just waited until somebody finally let me back on. So
It's funny because we did appeals too, and nobody got back to us. Then Brian found a contact.
they never got back to me.
Yeah.
No,
So
I
Brian found a
never
contact,
received.
or have you tried to get the blue check yet?
So I did a poll the other day, and asking if I should get the blue check or not, and because I honestly don't really care, but they said I should, so I signed up for it, but I haven't got the blue check yet.
Yeah, so I signed up 4 weeks ago for it. Same time Brian did. He got his like
Yeah.
3 days later, but I never got mine.
No.
And the main reason I want it is because there's so many fake Ed KrassenCast accounts out there that I want to be.
Yeah.
I want people to know this one's really me. But for some reason, I still haven't been able to acquire that prestige symbol.
I think there's only 2 fake accounts of me, so I don't have that issue as much. But I do have the blue diamond. So the blue diamond is really hard to fake because you can't use that anymore.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like in 2017, I think it was, Julian Assange was trying to get verified by Twitter, and they wouldn't verify him, and so he put like this blue diamond there, and then they banned the blue diamond from being in names. And so, but before they banned it, I had changed it to a blue diamond as well.
Oh, so you're grandfathered in.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm grandfather. As soon as I change it, I can never change it back. So
Yeah.
I haven't changed my name in
I
5
think I
years.
used to actually have a blue diamond in my thing, like faking the check
Yeah,
mark.
it was sort of a meme of like a fake check mark.
Yeah.
Like look at I've got a check mark too. Like not serious, because I don't think I didn't really care.
Well,
about
what
check
happens
marks.
is that you look through people and your eye is drawn to that blue
Right.
little dot. And whether it's a diamond or a check mark, I don't think your brain actually picks up on that until it's too late. And then you get the attention, I guess.
Yeah.
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 So going back to earlier in the show, we mentioned, I said Brian's the one that got you banned, and I don't know if he's actually the one who got you banned, but he did make a post way back in, I guess, 2017 saying, oh, look, this guy's breaking the rules. Carpe Donktum's breaking the rules. Everybody go report him to Twitter. And then I think like maybe the next day you were banned. So I put the responsibility on his shoulders for doing that to you.
I got a suspend. I was it wasn't a true ban. It was
that's right.
It was one of those delete the tweet bend the knee, and then you get your stuff back. And
So you weren't
I
super mad at me. You're just a little bit mad.
well, I was kind of mad at you because I didn't want to delete the tweet because as far as I'm concerned, the tweet was fine. And I was at an event that week, and so I couldn't use my Twitter account the entire time I was at this event because I wouldn't delete the tweet. So I was a little mad at you. Yes.
That tweet, that report by Brian, that tweet by Brian cost George Soros $1 million.
Oh,
Did it
man.
really?
Yeah. No, not really.
That was a bad joke.
Did it, only $1 million?
So a
Yeah,
couple of days ago, you actually made a tweet saying, "Sup guys, it's been a while. Glad to see nothing has changed. I look forward to many more years of breathless whining. I have to
You know?
admit that I don't know if I can whine for many more years. I'm going to
You're
try
not,
and
you're
keep
not
it
sure
up
that
for
you
a few
have
months,
the
but
I don't know if I have it in me either.
you don't
I mean,
have
I'm
the
gonna
longevity.
see, we've been
So
co-tweeting. We've been co-tweeting because then
Yeah,
like
how do you
can
do that, by
half.
the way?
You just there's a little icon on your mobile device. Scroll all the way
Yeah.
over on that bottom bar, and you can click it, and then it asks you to type in a name, and it tags that person, and you do send tweet, and that person gets a message, and they have to approve it.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I saw that and I was like, did they make a new kind of account just for the ambiguously gay joke? Did Elon like make a new account where you just have a joint account?
no, that didn't happen. But yeah, like nobody even knows it exists. Like, I mean, not nobody, but a good
Yeah.
amount of people that are like, how are they co-tweeting? Is this like
I've never
something
seen that before. So yeah, I haven't seen
nobody
anybody
uses
else
it?
doing it.
Nobody
Yeah.
uses it except us. But I kind of feel like they made it just for us, just to rub it in our face after they banned us. Like, hey, the Krassen signs are gone. Let's put the code tweet out there because that's really going to get under their skin.
But we're
But no,
back.
so moving on, I know we have a zest for technology, and I know you love technology.
Yeah.
I've been like really addicted to Chat GPT. Have you seen that at all?
So I've seen it. I haven't really used it. I'm not afraid of the technology, but I do like, especially like with memes and stuff like that. I'm a little wary of just the dumbest people on earth having access to making great memes for no reason.
Right.
It's kind of
Like,
unfair.
yeah, it's kind of unfair. Like, I've been doing this for 5-6 years, and somebody can just type in Donald Trump with a shark head, and then the AI makes Donald Trump with a shark head, and it's just perfect and beautiful. And then if they don't like this little part, they can sort of fix it without doing it. I think the AI is cool, and I think that there's some really fun things that can be done with it. I think one of my favorite things was like 3 or 4 AIs having a conversation with each other, and it's the most insane conversation you've ever heard. And I think some of that stuff's funny. I also think it's funny that you can feed things into the AI and it will write, it can write a paper for you.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and
so,
it'll
so
draw from all these things.
So like before this show, like just for fun, I asked Chat GPT, which is of course a chat box run by OpenAI, a chat bot run by OpenAI. And I asked it a question. Here's the question, and I'm going to just read it. What's a good non-divisive political meme that could be created as a collaboration between a Trump supporter and 2 twin brothers who dislike Trump? And this is actually the response that Chat GPT gave me. And I think it's pretty good. A good non-divisive political meme that could be created as a collaboration between a Trump supporter and 2 twin brothers who dislike Trump would be one that focuses on a specific policy or issue that all 3 of them agree on. For example, they could create a meme about the importance of investing in infrastructure or promoting clean energy, or a meme about the importance of small business regardless of political affiliation. Most people can agree on these important issues that affect the community as a whole. So what do we agree on? Do we agree that infrastructure is good? mostly small businesses. We definitely should be boosting small businesses.
I think that the chat bot is correct. That I mean, those are all things that have really annoyed me in the past that we can't get together on. Is, you know, we have some fight in the Senate or the House about, you know, this one thing that we disagree on, and then that stalls all of the things that everybody wants. Like, everybody wants roads, and everybody wants small businesses to do well, and everybody wants 1,000 things. It's
Right.
the one thing that we don't both want that stalls all of the
Or
other stuff.
or I think it's the fact that one party doesn't want the other party to get the win on it, you know? Like,
Right.
if Republicans are in the leadership, in the, you know, leading the House, Democrats don't want to give them the win by allowing them to get it done, and vice versa. Republicans don't want to give the Democrats a win. So it's hard to get things done just because of that.
Right. Yeah, and that's, I mean, that's, I think that's a frustrating thing in all of politics is striking that balance between being you know, giving in all the time, because I think there's also a problem if you are just constantly the only side giving in.
Yeah.
And then also striking that balance between giving in too much and giving in too little. And I don't know that we've found that that balance in a long time. This is not a new and it's not a new issue. It seems like it's been going on since
Yeah.
government was invented.
Forever, right?
But yeah.
So what about deep fakes? Like, I look at some of your memes, and your memes are pretty close to being able to be considered a deep fake, in my opinion. How do you think that's going to evolve? Is it going to be a point where, you know, everybody's just confused? Like, did this guy really just say this?
Well, so I think actually a lot of the stuff that I do is not too close to a deep fake, because, you know, there are
Well,
the programs and
I don't
stuff.
want to say close to deep fakes because yours are obviously memes. So I don't
Right.
want to say like you're trying to trick people. I didn't mean it
Yeah,
that
like
way.
the style that I have, I could use better programs and make things more realistic. But I think part of the fun for me is that it doesn't look realistic, and it looks a little cartoonish, and it looks a little silly. And I do think that some of the deep fake stuff, I think it's gonna sort of change the world, because I do think that, especially with the audio stuff, when the audio stuff gets so good that you can't tell the difference between
Yeah,
a faked
that's
voice
gonna
and
be
a real
scary.
voice, it's going to be scary. Because
It's
because
like,
at that point you can put anybody into any situation,
Yeah.
and
right.
nobody knows what's true. And when you have a situation, I mean, I think over the last few years we've already leaped forward into a sort of a space where we don't all know what's true all the time, and it's really hard to figure out
Yeah,
what is true all the time. And I think when those two things, the video and the audio, become perfected,
yeah,
we will really be in a post-truth society where people will just think whatever they want to think. I mean, they're going to do that anyway, but, you know, people will only everyone will call the truth whatever they think the truth is, and there will be no objective truth, because you can't prove it anymore.
Well, it's kind of like
exactly.
you can, you know, right now you see it with the media, and they can kind of just pull out certain quotes or portions of an interview and make it appear as though, oh wow, that
Right.
was really damning what he just
Yeah, just
said.
out of context.
It's out
Yeah,
of context,
Yeah.
but now you're going to be able to create the context rather than just
Right.
pull something out of context.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I I'm sure you saw the Elon Musk and AOC interview video. Did you see that?
yeah.
Yeah, so it's sort of the love story between AOC and Elon Musk, where the two sides of the interview cut together, and she's just like making sort of smiley faces, and he's being kind of shy and coy, like stuff like that is really funny. But eventually you'll be able to make both sides of that, where they're both in the same room convincingly talking to each other. And I think that's the really scary thing, is when you can
Yeah.
really just demolish truth, and you can't when you can no longer believe your eyes, because believing your senses is what makes like the world around us real. And when you start to doubt your own senses is when people really go nuts, when they don't know what's real.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I can just see like politics like being consumed by this, having like these deep fakes posted with Joe Biden saying something, with Donald Trump saying something else, and nobody knows, hey, did he actually say this? And by the time you figure it out, it's probably too late because it's spread all across the internet.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, that's the other part of it, is that things, information travels so fast now that things fly around the world 300 times before the correction can come out. And so there's actually, I think the world is incentivized to, shoot first, ask questions later, because there's no repercussions for saying the wrong thing. And I know that gets into sort of the conversation about like disinformation and things like that, which I'm not in favor of banning disinformation, because I think people are allowed to think what they want to think. But it does bring up a sort of a conundrum of what do you do when you can destroy someone's entire life before they can even respond to it.
Yeah,
I think it's like drawing
you
that
need a
line.
Yeah.
So I know we've used other platforms. When we were banned from Twitter, we moved over to other platforms. Namely, we went to this platform called DeSo, which is a decentralized social media blockchain. It's basically you don't have to give your control of your data to any one corporation. It's basically placed on a blockchain. All of that data,
Gotcha.
all of your posts, your name, your follow graph, all of that. Have you considered trying something like that? Just so that, I know you said one of your concerns was to try and get away from that, where you don't want to have to rely again on one corporation like Twitter banning you and all of your hard work basically vanishing overnight. Have you considered any of these decentralized chains?
I think I don't remember if it was, I think it might have been Ed that I talked to, maybe on Parler or one of those. I think we talked in DMs.
I think I remember something like that. It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, it was several years ago. But I've used a lot of different platforms. I used Parler for a while, and I used Getter for a while, and I used Truth, and I still post on Truth every once in a while. But I don't know, building up another following, especially like an alternate platform, it's tough. And the main issue that I have with alternate platforms, and I've had this same position even before I got banned, was that when you go create another platform, you create this echo chamber there, because most of the people that are going to go there are going there because they're being censored on someplace else.
Yeah.
And so you've already got this built-in echo chamber there. And unless the new service provides a reason for the common average everyday person who doesn't care about politics, that all they like is sports and whatever they like, unless you have a reason for them to come to that platform, then you will always just have an echo chamber, and you're never going to escape it. You have, like, the thing that on Twitter and Facebook too, is that people of all walks of life, all backgrounds, use it because they find a value in it. And so if you're going to create a new platform, you can't just base it off of one group of people who are upset.
Yeah,
because you're never going to draw.
And I think that's so true. Like because you saw Truth Social when all the conservatives got banned from Twitter Forum. You saw Getter.
Right.
You saw all these other ones, Parler. Then you see Post Forum when liberals get pissed off at Elon Musk. And what happens is all the liberals go to Post, all the conservatives go to Parler and Truth Social, and you have these echo chambers. So I think for one new platform to really thrive, it needs to have a different reason, not because half of America or half of the world is pissed off at one platform. It just needs to have something that draws people in regardless from all walks of life.
Yeah, it has to have a draw. Like, I mean, there's a reason that TikTok has done so well, and there's a reason that Snapchat has done so well, and it's not because they were trying to compete. They were sort of competing, but they had a different focus. There was a reason people went to those apps.
Yeah.
And artificially trying to create a Twitter clone is not going to get you what you want unless it's actually better than Twitter.
Right.
And that's the problem, is that if you're just taking a clone, you're not actually adding any value to anything. You're making an offshoot.
Yeah, I agree. So one final question before we let you go and start memeing. If we were to show up at your house tomorrow, would you call the police or ask us in for a drink?
How are you showing up?
Just knocking on the door.
No, we're showing up. I'm on Brian's back when we fly in.
Yeah, we fly in. I mean,
I think in that case I might call the police, but I'm not sure. I mean, that sounds pretty scary, but no, I think that there are a lot of people on the opposite end of the spectrum from me that I could sit down and have a drink with. I've had many conversations that people would be surprised with the other person on the other end, that we don't agree on a lot of stuff, but we've had conversations. And I think that people should be able to be civil. And I mean, there's a time for going in the trenches and hammering stuff out, but I think there has to be one of those, what is it, the Christmas armistice, where everybody's just like, it's Christmas, we're gonna stop fighting. And I feel like there's a lot of people who can't do that, and I really wish people would be able to. So this is
kind of like the end of a football game after you're in the trenches, hitting
Right.
each other, tackling each other, hurting each other. Then at the end of the game, you just go shake hands, give hugs to each other, and say good game.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Quarterbacks meeting on the field.
If you are ever in Fort Myers, Florida, let us know and we can go get a drink. And I won't call the cops if you came to my door. But yeah, I think we dismantled division. It's our first show, and I feel like we're buddies now, right?
Yeah, we're totally buddies up until we press end, and then we'll go back to our camps.
Then
right?
we can get behind our keyboards and start fighting again, right?
Right.
Yeah, so thanks again. Thanks for everybody for watching KrassenCast Dismantling Division, and stay tuned for our next episode.